evening, everyone. It is 6 o'clock on this July 18th of 2023, and time to call to order this meeting of the Gallatin City Council. We begin each of our meetings with an invocation and a pledge of allegiance. And so this evening, Councilman Fan is going to lead us in the pledge, and our city engineer, Nick Tuttle, is going to offer the invocation. So I would invite you to stand with me, please.
Let us pray. Father, we come to you tonight, and we just ask for your continued blessings on our community. And of course, we enter this meeting in your presence with thanksgiving in our hearts. We are so blessed already. Many things to be thankful for. And Lord, I pray that we be able to take a moment and just recognize those things. And as we continue with this meeting and look forward to the decisions that are here before us, I pray for your wisdom and your guidance, that we would be all open to hearing and understanding, listening, and focused on what you would have for us and your plan for this community. Lord, I pray that we would make decisions and move in the ways that would be according to your will. We love you, and all these things we do pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in a pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Kittrell, if you would please call the roll for us.
Vice Mayor Love. Here. Councilman Carter is absent. Councilman Fan.
Here.
Councilman Fennell is absent. Councilwoman George. Here. Councilman Hayes.
Present.
And Councilman Juvance. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Kittrell. Before you have the minutes from the June 6, 2023 council meeting and the June 20th council meeting. So I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Vice Mayor Love. Are there any additions or corrections requested? Seeing none, all in favor of approving minutes from June 6th and June 20th, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Minutes are unanimously approved. We'll now move to public recognition on agenda.
I just need to abstain from the June 20th since I wasn't here.
Okay, please note, Ms. Kittrell. Thank you. We now go to public recognition on agenda-related items. This is the time of the meeting where you can speak to any item that's on the evening's agenda. Yes, sir?
Excuse me, ma'am. I'd like to see if we could remove two items from this agenda. 11 and 12, I don't think we should vote on a resolution. On the same meeting, we're doing public comments.
What now?
Item 11 and 12.
He doesn't want to vote on those because we have public comment tonight. He doesn't want to do it at the same meeting.
But this is the wait.
Yeah, this is the one we're readopting.
Yeah, it's a readoption and a reconfirmation, and it is this body's will, but this has been back and forth so many times. It's a reconfirmation over a technicality that I believe it was you who had an issue with it, and so I don't understand. But if you want to make that in the form of a motion and let this body decide.
I'll make a motion to postpone to the next meeting item 11 and 12 because I don't think we should vote on a resolution on the same meeting we do public comments.
Have a motion on the floor. Motion dies for lack of a second. Did you have something else as well? No. Just that? Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so back to describing public recognition for you all. Public recognition at the beginning of the meeting is for agenda-related items when it's a council meeting. There's also a time of the meeting, at the end of the meeting, when you can speak to any items that aren't on the agenda. Now, this evening, it's quite unusual, but we have several public hearings. So if you would like to wait and speak under public hearings specific to an issue, you're welcome to do that. One is on the annexation that Mr. Juvance just mentioned of the 5.18 acres out Hartsville Pike. One is, well, I guess the first two are on that, and then you have the public hearings related to the Lot 4 annexation, and so your public comments may be more appropriate during that period of time, but it's up to you. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you introduce yourself, give us your address as well for the record, and with that, public comment on agenda-related items is now open. You may come to the podium.
Good evening. My name is Karen Bookout. My address is 1006 Quailwood Cove. This evening, I'm going to discuss Plan Gallatin. First of all, I'd like to begin with reading a paragraph that is directly from Mayor Brown, directly from the website, where it talks about Plan Gallatin. I hope I have everyone's full attention. Councilor McCauley, Mayor Brown, I would ask for that respectfully that I have your attention. Oh, I do apologize.
And respectfully, ma'am, I'm taking notes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the
And also
clarification.
minding the time. for your
Thank you.
information.
And my understanding was that during a public hearing, there was not a time limit. Okay.
But this is not the public hearing, just to be clear.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll just address Plan Gallatin. As one of the priority actions in the strategic plan, the City Council recognized the importance of updating the city's comprehensive plan to engage the community in a discussion about growth and development and to ensure that its policies for growth are aligned accordingly with the community's vision and shared goals. Plan Gallatin and its recommendations are built upon its desire to achieve the shared vision of its residents and businesses. Firstly, South Water Avenue and Downtown 31 are eyesores. The southern gateways to Gallatin on both of these roads are an embarrassment. The first time my husband and I visited Gallatin to look at homes, we agreed we did not like the city. It appeared to be impoverished and dirty, with a downtown area full of vacant businesses. After looking at dozens of homes in surrounding towns, the only reason we bought here was because we found a home on acreage north of the city in a beautiful rural area of the county. When family and friends visit, I am embarrassed to drive through town. In fact, I come from the airport on 386 to 109 to avoid it. If there is a vision for Gallatin, it should be to improve the charming downtown areas, beautifying South Water Avenue corridor, and creating walkable shopping and dining experience. A plan such as this would entice Gallatin residents to shop and dine in the city rather than driving to Hendersonville or Nashville. Gallatin population and expected growth. Gallatin is 22.5 square miles in size. The current population, 51,653, growing at an annual rate of 4.47%, but grew 15.57% since the 2020 census. If growth continues at this pace, the population of the city of Gallatin will be nearly 300,000 in 30 years. Residents, did you know a metropolitan area, as defined by the Census Bureau, is a population of 50,000? Gallatin is already
Ma'am,
considered a
please keep your
metropolitan area.
comments to the body.
The city website lists the number of residential projects proposed, approved, and under construction, single-family, townhomes, apartments, and multifamily total, current, approved, under review, is 9,446. This is an incomplete list, as stated on the website. The average household size is 2.47. Occupying those residences in 2 years would be approximately 23,332 people. At the current rate over a 30-year period, that total is 349,980 people in a 22.5 square mile city. The average number of cars per household is 1.79. The total number of cars for the current projects is an additional 16,908 in 2 years. That is 253,620 additional cars on city streets in the next 30 years. I confirmed with TDOT just last fall while researching another project, there are no plans to widen 31 on the books at all, none. There are no plans to widen Hartsville Pike within the next 40 years. There are no plans to widen Dobbins Pike yet. The city annexed and approved the Meadows development with 1,327 homes on Dobbins Pike. Widening of 386 is being pursued by the county and the city. Where will the over 250,000 cars coming into Gallatin go when they exit 386? In fact, a previous Gallatin city planner conducted 3 traffic studies and found the city to be deficient. Protected and endangered species. There are numerous endangered and protected species in Sumner County, including the areas the city seeks to annex. The federally protected Indiana and gray bats, the federally protected streamside salamander, blue-eyed Mary, a federally protected wildflower, least trillium. The list is too extensive to mention all in this hearing, in this meeting. Annexing and developing land serves to destroy the quiet beauty of Sumner County by polluting sensitive waterways, increasing waste and traffic, not to mention increased crime, negatively impacting county and city residents. We are not Nashville's North Shore. Residents, did you know the Sumner County Council, along with the city of Gallatin, wants us to be known as Nashville's North Shore? It is in the first sentence of the Sumner County 35-year plan. My husband and I chose Gallatin because of the rural, small-town lifestyle. We had left behind a city in Florida that experienced rapid, poorly planned growth. Homes taken through eminent domain to widen roads, an increase in rental properties that attracted those who could not afford a home, blighted low-income neighborhoods, increased traffic and the noise that goes with it. We don't want to repeat.
Ma'am, thank you. Your time is up.
May I read with the last sentence? That city, Port St. Lucie, had a population of 32,000 in 1978 when I moved there. 43 years later, 2023, that population is 556,000. Is that what we want for Gallatin?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Todd Alexander, 217 Strange Circle in Gallatin. I never take for granted the opportunity to speak, so thank you. Tonight you're voting on a few things I just want to touch on, one of them being Plan Gallatin, especially as it applies to the changes in the Green Farm area. I hear you say nobody wants to see the farmlands go. But then I also hear you vote to come up with a plan that makes it easy for those farmlands to disappear. I'm one citizen urging you to vote no. Tonight you'll look at equipment that the Gallatin Police Department needs, and I applaud you for that. As a former deputy sheriff in East Tennessee, I appreciate so much when we have the training and the tools and the equipment that our law enforcement needs, so good job on that. Also on your agenda is the ARPA grant for the water system improvement. I hope that this council will adopt what the county commission adopted last night in their meeting. Even with the 5-year self-imposed moratorium on new residential annexations, even with that in there, I hope you adopt it. I think that we have plenty of plans already in the hopper in our city. This town's citizens, if you self-imposed a 5-year moratorium on annexations, I think would cheer. I think they would say this is a good move. Let's get everything on the books kind of worked out and figure out some of these other pieces. The developers aren't going to like it. I understand that. The realtor associations probably aren't going to like that. I can understand that. But the citizens who vote for you, I honestly think would cheer and would love it. I hope that this council will approve this resolution and will work with the other towns. I want to see this council work more with the school board and the county commission. We're all in this together, as the great Red Green says. Thank you.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Brown, Michelle Juvance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike. I just wanted to talk about two of the agenda items, item number 5 and item number 13. I came already before you with the Plan Gallatin during the public hearing, and I just wanted to reiterate that it does not represent what the citizens want. I don't think it's a good plan. I think that it was pretty clear what the citizens wanted because they did the surveys, and it doesn't represent what the citizens said they wanted. Also, the character area change that was sent back to change from rural character area to suburban is pretty much, if you annex the Green Farm, that character area change pretty much forces them to do higher density. So that's just a really bad idea to have that suburban character area in that location. Also, item number 13 on the agenda is the resolution for the ARPA grant for regional water system improvements. And I was at the county commission meeting last night, and I just wanted to say that I'm super proud of our county commissioners and the solution that they came up with to provide water to the people who need it, but also to do that while holding cities accountable for what they're doing. So I also hope that you will, just like the previous person said, adopt what the county commission voted on last night. I especially wanted to just mention what one of the county commissioners said, Dr. Jamie Teachener. He said that we're not opposed to growth, but we're opposed to harm. And growth is good, but not the kind of growth that harms people. So I thought that just kind of like, that was everything, because that's exactly what I think. Like, I'm not opposed to growth, but I'm opposed to having the kind of growth that causes people's property taxes to be increased, and the kind of growth that actually causes people's lifestyles to be changed because what's being built around them doesn't suit the home that they built and all the money and time that they put into their life, that they wanted to have a certain kind of lifestyle, and then something is being built around them that doesn't suit their lifestyle, and you're ruining their lifestyle and taking away the value of their property. Because when you all say that property values are going to increase by these developments, you're using money as a measure for value, and money should never be used as a measure for value because it's a changeable thing. It changes with time, it changes with inflation, and money is the least valuable and most abundant thing on earth. But people's lifestyles is what is valuable to them. And you should never say that your property values are going to increase, because they are not. They are only going to make people's taxes go up because their property value in the monetary sense increases, but then they have to pay more taxes when they can't afford it. So that's just I just was so proud of our county commission, and I hope that you will listen to what was said last night if you weren't at the meeting. And I will be back during the public hearing to speak about the annexation, because I have a lot to say about that, but thank you for the time.
Thank you. Please take your sign, yes. Anyone else wishing to speak under public comment on agenda-related items, now would be your opportunity. Okay, seeing no one, we'll declare public recognition on agenda-related items closed. We'll move now to mayor's comments. I just have some events to share with you. First, just a reminder that this weekend, the Saturday City Hall parking lot, they're going to try again. Weather was not cooperative last weekend. Be closed during the day, but open up for the evening. Coming up on the 20th, which is 2 days from now, is the National Parks and Recreation Professionals Day Luncheon, and I need to correct, that was sent to me. It was on my calendar when I said I didn't know if they'd received an invitation. I had received an invitation. It was actually on my calendar, so I apologize for that. Gallatin Schools Block Party. This is a great event put on. Is it done by Unlimited Potential? Do you know, Mr. Carter? Or is it Shalom Zone? I don't know. It's a fabulous event. They have it every year. And this one is happening at Clearview Park from 4 to 7 on the 20th. Third Thursday on May, the second one of the season, happens on Thursday. It's in downtown Gallatin from 6:30 to 9. On the 21st is the Friends of the Miracle Park Pool Party. That's from 6 to 8, and that's for friends with special needs and their families. Farmers Market is open again this Saturday. There's a Community Health and Wellness Expo on the 22nd, sponsored by West Eastland Church of Christ. There's a neat, I've mentioned this before, I know, but it bears repeating. Battle of the Bands happening at Volunteer State Community College. That happens on the 27th, and it starts at 5 o'clock. And let's see if there's anything else. The Chambers Grit, Grace, and Grub Restaurant Week begins on the 4th of August. The Gallatin Shalom Zone is having a back-to-school bash on the 5th. And then Impact Gallatin, City Lights Baptist Church, they have a free eye clinic. They're doing oil changes, haircuts, and back-to-school backpacks also on the 5th. So I'll mention those items that are happening within our community and encourage you to participate and spread the word about them. With that, I'll conclude mayor's comments and I'll move on to the regular agenda. And the first item on the agenda this evening is public hearing on resolution R2306-48. And I introduce Vice Mayor Love to introduce the public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, readopting and reconfirming a plan of services for the annexation of a 5.18 plus or minus acre parcel located north of Hartsville Pike and east of Airport Road, and providing for an effective date. This is a public hearing.
A public hearing is now open if you would like to speak.
Evening Council, Michelle Juvance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike. So just as I've stated on the record for years, the city's in default on prior plans of services, and I don't think the city should be annexing any other property right now until we're caught up on services. And I also think that it would be a good idea to put a moratorium on annexations, just to let our departments get caught up. It's only fair to them. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for this public hearing? Seeing no one, public hearing on resolution R2306-48 is closed. Item number 2 is public hearing on resolution R2306-49. Vice Mayor Love again.
Thank you again. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, readopting and reconfirming the annexation of a 5.18 plus or minus acre parcel located north of Hartsville Pike and east of Airport Road into the City of Gallatin, authorizing the annexed property to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, authorizing assignment of annexed area to a council district, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And this is a public hearing.
The public hearing is now open. You may come forward if you wish to speak. Seeing no one indicating that they wish to speak, I'll declare the public hearing on resolution R2306-49 closed. Item number 3 is resolution R2306-50. Councilwoman George.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, adopting a plan of services for the annexation of 235.509 plus or minus acre parcel located east of Lockport Road and north of Peach Valley Road, and providing for an effective date. This is a public hearing.
Public hearing is now open, and you may come forward if you wish to speak to this.
Aaron Bookout, 1006 Quailwood Cove. I'm addressing Lot 4 annexation. Firstly, I'd like to address the emergency services response time and increased traffic. As stated in the Tennessee County Fire Handbook found on tn.gov, proper fire station distribution is a critical function. I'm sorry, I have to ask a question. Has the City of Gallatin adopted the Insurance Services Office guidelines for placement of fire stations and emergency services stations?
Ma'am, this is a public hearing, so you.
So I can't get
bring
that
your
question
comments.
answered?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, I know the county hasn't.
And Chief Beeman, if you'd raise your hand, she'll know who you are, and he'll be happy to discuss that with you.
But the county has not.
No, after the meeting.
Thank
we
you.
can talk to you.
The proper fire station distribution is a critical function when planning for adequate fire protection. In fact, the major emergency services studies recommend a response time of 3 to 5 minutes. Lives saved and property protected is directly related to response times. Insurance Services Office Incorporated, a for-profit corporation that works for insurance companies to evaluate the capability of a community to suppress fires, recommends an engine company be located within 1.5 miles of 90% of the structures and 2.5 miles for a ladder service company. The closest fire station and emergency response station to the proposed development is 5 miles and a 15-minute drive away on a Sunday afternoon. During rush hour, that increases to 25 minutes. An adult in cardiac arrest, a child choking, or God forbid, a child found in a pool, which my husband and I have seen, will die before emergency services arrive. Furthermore, a home is generally fully engulfed in flames in 5 minutes. Before any development is approved in this area, a new fire station must be built. The current 2-lane Lock 4 road is not adequate to handle the additional traffic created by 1,500 to 2,000 more vehicles that will come with the annexation and the proposed development. The additional traffic will further delay emergency services response time. Widening of Lock 4 Road would most likely require taking of homes through eminent domain, upending the lives of families who have lived there for generations, and the city will bear the cost of compensating homeowners and widening the road. I'm now going to read from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Old Hickory Lake Operational and Shoreline Management Plan, Appendix M, adopted November 2020. Environmental protections and present land use. Land not developed is now extremely beneficial to much-needed wildlife habitat. These lands provide a suitable environment for a variety of birds, amphibians, and mammals. The upper reaches of the project offers excellent wildlife habitat conditions as a result of intensive management practices of the Tennessee Wildlife Resources. If left unmowed, these fringe lands, they don't have to be adjacent, fringe lands, may become covered with native grasses and vegetation that provides cover and food near a source of water. The endangered and federally protected gray bat winters in a cave along the Old Hickory Lake, and the federally protected Indiana bat also is seen there. Several rare bird species such as the bald eagle, the marsh hawk, osprey, and Bachman sparrow can also be found in the lake area. The Bachman sparrow was listed as endangered by the state of Tennessee in 1975. This bird is nearly extirpated from the state. For your reference, the definition of extirpated is to root out and destroy completely. I provided the definition of the word extirpated, to root out and destroy completely. Respectfully, Mayor Brown, council members, if the goal of Plan Gallatin annexation and continued unchecked development is to achieve the shared vision of its residents, perhaps it is time to listen to them before the small-town lifestyle of Gallatin is extirpated. We don't want to become Nashville's North Shore. And if you'll bear with me, I believe I have more time. Is that accurate?
About a minute.
I won't go into it, but a dear friend and neighbor, John Miller, I think you all know who John Miller is, sent me some of Jeremy Mansfield's comments last night, as Michelle mentioned, about the grant provisions requesting that Gallatin, Portland, and Westmoreland do not put a 5-year moratorium on annexing land for development. I couldn't agree further, and I'm sure the residents of Gallatin feel the same way. Thank you for your time.
I'm Sandra Kelly. I live at 103 Jones Street here in Gallatin. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I have a few comments on 3. No, 2. We're on 2, right?
We're on 3.
They're sort of similar. Anyway, it's on annexation. And I want to say that I just read about last night before I got here, and I'm glad the county commission did that. I agree, and I hope you will adopt that too. Because we need to put a moratorium on new developments. We already have thousands of homes in the hopper, as Todd said, and the large developments that are being approved are eating up large portions of the green space that we love and that we need for the grass, the trees, the animals. When a company I worked for built a plant in Springfield, the EPA made them leave a little puddle, basically, with some trees and stuff in the corner of the property because it was an ecosystem, and they didn't want to disrupt it. How many ecosystems have been and will be disrupted as we build? Our wildlife is being displaced. The trees and grass are gone. The green spaces allotted in the plans are nowhere near enough. There's more flooding because the water isn't absorbed by pavement. Although there is pavement that will absorb water. I looked it up before I came, and it's a little more expensive to begin with, but it allows the water to soak through and go deep into the earth. And residents I've heard here complain about flooding as new developments are built near their homes. And we're not obligated to provide homes to people just because they want to move here. It's not our obligation. The square, I'm going to mention this again, walking the other day. You can hardly walk and talk. It's so noisy between the trucks. It's just noisy. There is a city in Vermont who sectioned off a downtown area. It's called Church Street Marketplace. They have stopped all traffic, and it's like here, the square, shops, restaurants. Maybe we could find a way to do that, because 18-wheelers come through downtown and everything. Is there really a need for that? Isn't there a way they could go around town? If you want me to look into it further, I will. Also, the heat, the pavement, it's so much hotter. I knocked on doors in Stephen Carter's district for Bob Mayola, and it was much cooler than knocking on doors in the Carrollton area. I mean, it was just hot because of the pavement. But the older neighborhoods where I was, they had the mature trees, more grass. It was much more pleasant, even though it still was hot. Let's see. And also, to end with, we need impact fees. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Brown, City Council members, and staff. First, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to share. My name is Vicki Hendrick. My address is 560 Peach Valley Road. Proverbs 25:28 says, "A man without self-control is like a city broken in two and left without walls." Characteristics of a smaller town: a slower pace of life, family-oriented events, walkability, proximity to nature, and an authenticity that isn't evident in larger counterparts. I realize that our world is rapidly changing, but does that mean we give up so hastily those characteristics that make us who we are and what we are? I don't think so, and I know many other Gallatin residents that feel the same way. In the past several months, I have spoken at a few City Council and Planning Commission meetings regarding this proposed annexation. Also, in the past week, I've reached out to each and every City Council member, and each one has been extremely gracious with their time, and I am very appreciative. They allowed me the opportunity to plead my case and do so passionately. I have lived in this area of Gallatin for almost 30 years. I raised my son here, pushed him around the neighborhood in his stroller, taught him how to drive these roads, and cried when he drove away many times. Everyone here tonight has their own personal stories they hold dear. The other day, I drove down Peach Valley and visited friends, encouraging them to attend tonight's meeting and speak if they felt comfortable doing so. I had a long visit with a particular friend, and most of what we did was tell old stories of those that have gone before us and laugh, reminiscing about the good old days. I told a friend the other day I missed those days so much, and I would go back in a heartbeat. Is our need to make permanent and drastic change so important that we forget the simplicity in life? I don't know about you, but I myself don't want to be anything like Nashville. That would be toxic to Gallatin. Lifelong residents are struggling. During COVID, I remember several older members of my church complained of not being able to make mobile check deposits. Drive-throughs were closed, and getting out at the bank was with a walker and standing in line in heat and cold was next to impossible for them. I'm by no means elderly, but for me, some activities of daily living are hard. I really don't want our older residents to turn around each day to fast-paced changes that make their life even harder and make them feel that their opinions and feelings don't matter. It matters to all of us, but they should not feel invisible. I have spoken and listened to the concerns of my elderly neighbors, friends, former coworkers, and family, and the dramatic pace of changes are overwhelming to us all. We realize change is inevitable, but honestly, do we have to go and change every part of our city just for the sake of change? Some things should stay sacred. Several of our city council members have expressed to me that they would love it if the Green Farm would turn into a park that incorporated the water recreation area. I think that's a wonderful idea, and guess what? This old girl went proactive and even contacted a couple of country music artists to try to see if they had any interest in doing so. I'm asking you to vote no on annexation to heed the concerns of the community. I'll end with this. Friends, you have no idea how it feels to come to the end of another brilliantly written and impeccably delivered speech. Unfortunately, neither do I.
That's cute. Thank you for the laugh. Anyone else wishing to speak under this particular public hearing? Seeing no, okay. Please don't block the Gallatin sign so that people know what they're seeing if they don't. Thank you.
You're concerned about the screen up there? Is that what you mean?
Oh, yeah, I guess you really can't see it. I don't know. You're running the cameras, mister. So.
All to see, so you can't really see it on the TV. Again, Michelle Juvance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike. So I wanted to talk about the plan of services because we don't need to take on any more services to provide. We can't afford it. We're behind already in the services. The city of Gallatin's in default on prior plans of services from the sewer in 2008 annexation, the sewer from the 2012 annexation, police from many various annexations, fire halls from Twin Eagles, Woolhawk, and Bledsoe Springs annexations. The city is required by state law to publish a report on its progress toward fulfilling an annexation plan of service and hold a public hearing on the plan of service report beginning 6 months after the plan of service is adopted by the city council and annually thereafter until it is fully implemented. The city did not do this for years. In 2019, the city conducted an annexation audit and did an update report to catch up on the years of missed reports and public hearings. The city now does an annual report of all annexations from 2008 until present and holds a public hearing. Notably, it does not conduct the 6-month updates for new annexations. The report states complete on the entire list of police and fire services, although many of the annexation plans of services state that additional police officers and vehicles would be needed to service the annexations. At least 3 of the annexation plans of services state that additional fire halls would be needed to service the annexation. 2 of the annexations state incomplete for sewer service. These sewer services were promised within a certain time frame and were not completed in that time. The city is allowed by law to amend a plan of service, yet they have never done so. They simply continue to annex without completing or amending the deficient plans. The city attorney has advised the council that the city is not in default unless a court declares them to be in default. So the council continues to annex because they are not legally in default, although they are actually in default. The city of Gallatin is struggling to provide services in certain critical infrastructure departments are short-staffed. The Gallatin Public Works Department is significantly short-staffed. This affects our road maintenance, trash, and brush pickup. Gallatin Police Service is diminishing. The MTAS recommended ratio is 2.55 sworn officers to 1,000 population. In 2007, before the 2008 annexation of the 6 square miles of the Long Hollow Pike area, the Gallatin ratio was 2.2 sworn officers per 1,000 people. Now, in 2023, the ratio is 1.8 sworn officers per 1,000. Notably, there is only one codes enforcement person for the entire city. Number 3, the city of Gallatin cannot financially afford to take on more obligations at this time. The 23-24 budget that was just passed was short $17 million from what the departments requested and the revenue available. $14 million was cut and $2.869 $675. So almost $3 million was taken from reserves to balance the budget. The necessary fire station that are in the plans of services and have been requested in the fire department budget for the last year and the previous year were not funded in the budget. Gallatin's growing at such a fast pace that we're required to dip into reserves to balance the budget, going into debt to pay for infrastructure. Becoming over-leveraged is a very bad idea for any entity, including a municipality. It's setting us up for higher taxes, which is not fair to the existing residents. It's actually punishing existing residents to pay for future growth. Gallatin's already growing too fast. It's not able to keep up with servicing existing, and annexing more land to service at this time would add to the burden, overextending.
Thank you.
So I actually remember you mentioned at one time a couple years ago that there was no time limit during a public hearing.
Session that we had, I actually had it today with the attorney, and she thinks it's fine to have a time limit, especially when we have so many things that are on the agenda.
Okay. So I was going by what you had said previously. I have a lot to
Understand.
say. I guess I can come back in the next time, the next public hearing and finish. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Vincent Rucker. I reside at 474 Peach Valley Road. I also own property at 470 Peach Valley Road. And the reason I'm here tonight is I'm for no annexation. My grandmother was raised on Peach Valley Road. My mother was raised on Peach Valley Road. I was raised on Peach Valley Road, and I'm still on Peach Valley Road. And my mother is 95 years old. Cars are speeding through there. She don't sleep good at night. We're close to the road. They just speed through there. Big 18-wheelers come through there. And from my understanding, I could be wrong, they're not allowed to come through Peach Valley Road. And about 13 years ago, a young man from Trinidad went through our church and he killed himself. He was speeding. We don't know exactly what he was doing, but we know he was speeding. He come through the late Officer William Rogan's property and went straight through our church. And if it had been on a Sunday, a lot of people would have got killed. He come straight through where I was sitting at, me and other members of my family. They're speeding through there. I don't never see a police out through there. And they're cutting through, coming off of 109, cutting through Peach Valley Road. And they're speeding through there because they know they're not gonna see the police. So if we build all this stuff and we have an annexation, we're gonna have more speeders through there, and it's probably gonna be a lot of accidents. Peach Valley has always been quiet. We've always loved the country life, and it's just not the same. It's not the same. But I thank you all for your time, and I just want to share that with you, that it's so quiet out there, it has been quiet out there, it's just not the same. So please, let's just keep the Peach Valley the way it is.
Good evening. My name is Lina Marler. I live at 1512 Cherokee Road. I can't see. Okay, so I've spoken several times at council meetings on the annexation vote. My first speech was about preserving the character and beauty of this area, because that's the thing that makes our town special. In another speech, I made pictures and I showed you all of Peach Valley, Lock 4, Woods Ferry, Jacobs Heights, and I did that to show you the roads that would be affected and they'd be used as cut-through, like has happened in the past in Jacobs Heights, and everybody's aware of that. I talked about how there's been 66 wrecks, according to the Gallatin Police Department, on Lot 4 in the last 2 years. That's a staggering number. I brought up the engineering study done in 2006 showing that Lot 4 is too narrow with no shoulders. It's obviously a dangerous road. Ellen Duffer sent a copy of this report to everyone on the council and the Planning Commission, so you should have seen the report. Ask people that live on Lot 4. They'll tell you how dangerous it is. And as Cynthia said, how dangerous Peach Valley is. So in thinking about what I wanted to say tonight, I went back into the past a bit. I looked at interviews and the political platforms of council members currently serving when running for office. The common thread that I saw was the need to improve our traffic issues. Here we are, a couple years later, traffic's continued to worsen. It now backs up as early as 3 o'clock many days to the Greenlee exit when entering Gallatin. So while the synchronization of lights can help in some areas, it can't possibly help when the sheer volume of vehicles overwhelm the roads. That's exactly what will happen if this vote's passed. The current zoning will keep the total number of vehicles a day primarily traveling Lock 4 and exiting onto Nashville Pike, where all your restaurants and just right in the middle of town at 600 to 1,200 cars a day. If the area is annexed, the zoning could go up as high as 5 homes an acre, driving that number up as high as 3,000 to 4,000 vehicles a day. This will be a nightmare for not just residents in the proposed area, but all over Gallatin. If annexing this area is something that you feel you must do, then widen and improve the roads and ensure that the roads can handle, the schools and the roads can handle the demands. This absolutely needs to be done first, not after the fact. So the other thing I've heard is it's said that you must annex to control the area. In my opinion, you lose control if you annex. The zoning could be changed by a majority vote of council in the future, once in the city. You may be against higher density and maintain you would never vote for it. But what if you're not on the council when the vote comes up? Real estate and the economy slowed. Anything could happen. This land has sewer and to be an attractive place for a middle to upper scale development near boat ramps, bike park, and everything. So I don't understand it at all. So in closing, I keep hearing over and over about the people moving here and what we need to do for them. What about the people that voted for you? What about all the people here tonight? All those people read your platform and they decided they liked what you had to say. You all work hard and we do appreciate what you do. Listening to the people you represent and what they think is important is, to me, your first responsibility. I wrote an op-ed piece a few weeks ago titled, "What Happened to Gracious and Growing Gallatin?" I have no way to know who you heard from and to what degree. I know I heard from people that are frustrated and saddened because they feel like we're losing what makes us special. They're upset with the traffic and the time it takes to get across town. I heard from people that have lived here their whole lives and people that have moved here recently. They all matter equally. Make no mistake, a vote of yes will absolutely increase the amount of vehicles right into the center of Gallatin. It will overcrowd GHS, already at 97% capacity in classrooms and 130% in common areas, according to the Sumner County School Board. So I ask you tonight, why? Why do this? The answer is, you don't have to. Thank you for letting me speak.
Janet Smith, 121 Brewer Drive. I had no intention of speaking tonight, so forgive me. I have nothing to spout to you so far as data. I live in the area that you're talking about annexing here. All I know is that Lock 4, Peach Valley, Woods Ferry, and Nichols Lane, which surround that area, are all two-lane roads with no shoulders. I can only ask you not to do it. If you want to build the roads first, which will affect all of those residents on those roads, do that. As a retired teacher, I can tell you our school system is pushed already, but that's up to the school board. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak under this public hearing? Okay, well, there's someone in the back. If you're planning to speak under a particular public hearing, please be at the front so that we're not delaying.
My name is Mary Janung. I live at 1100 Lock 4 Road, and I'm here to speak about the annexation of the 235 acres of land across the street from my home, which is essentially what we call the Green Farm, or they're now wanting to call it the banks of Lock 4 Road. I've been here multiple times, and I know you're probably tired of looking at me, but I'm sorry about that. We have a very serious problem out there. It's very dangerous on the roads, and I know you've heard this a million times, but it's a very serious problem. And I really wondered what was I going to say anymore. I've been up here so many times begging you not to do this, and I don't know what else to tell you other than I spent a little time a couple days ago over by the farm. I went down to the gates and I stood there and I went out. The cows were out there and they were roaming, and one of the farmers was out there, and I asked about the land again. And he talked to me about the property, and he said there's only really 90 acres of land out there, and it runs along Peach Valley that really is any good for building anything because of the limestone that's out there. There's so much rock. The shelf, when you look at the gates, if you've been out there, when you look at the farm gates, there's a huge shelf of rock, and it's all limestone. And what happens to limestone when you dig into it? It collapses. So what I'm thinking is, well, if that's going to happen, then that means that it will collapse, and all the water that runs underneath those the springs that are under there, they're going to be clogged up, and there's not going to be any natural water coming out. It'll all be dammed up, I guess. But it bothered me that there's so much rock, and that means they're going to have to dynamite. So that means all those homes in that whole area are going to be affected by the dynamiting. And I've heard people tell me that there's nothing I can do. If my home gets damaged, it's too bad. You know, they're going to dynamite. I'm asking you to say, hey, no, we're not, like they said, we don't want to do harm. And why harm the citizens that live out there? And I've talked to you about the history out there, the slave graves that are out there. I've talked to people yesterday and the day before that told me about that farm. They know about that farm. There used to be a school out there. There's so much history there. And I don't think there isn't, when I looked at the plan that the developers had put out forward to us, many of you said that's too much. It makes me shudder to think that all these townhomes, which is essentially apartments, because that's what's happening on Lot 4 across the street next to the boat dock, those are essentially rented out, a lot of them. I mean, what are we creating here? Are we creating a beautiful environment for all of us to live in? And the Audaddies, they have the marina and the water. What are we creating here? Is it about creating a utopia of house roofs? We have a beautiful, beautiful community. And one of the areas out at Lock 4, Peach Valley, Odom's Bend, the end of Lock 4, it is a beautiful area. But if this is done, it is going to be a monster. And the rock that's going to have to be hauled out of there is going to tear these roads up. The entrance is right across from Aqua Drive, and that is a blind spot. There's going to be wrecks. I shudder to think what's going to happen, but I please ask you not to annex this. This is going to be a monster. And I really appreciate your time. I know it's hard for you all to do this. I know how it is. And I appreciate what you do. I really do. And I just ask you to vote no. Thank you.
Pam, if you want to speak under the next public hearing, that's fine, but I think you've already spoken under this one, per my notes.
Is there a limit on how many times a person can speak? It's a public hearing?
Yeah, I mean, it's
What's the
always
limit?
been one time to speak under the public hearing.
Well,
Otherwise,
Michelle
you're
has
creating
spoken- Michelle has spoken numerous times.
yes, but under each item. That's why I'm saying.
Under this particular item.
Right, and I think you already have per my notes.
Oh, then I'll
but-
come back under
Yeah,
item
we're
number
getting
4.
ready to have another one, so you're fine to speak again. Sorry.
My name is Gwen Tate. I live at 1521 Cherokee Road. I've lived there since April of 1997. We built our home there, and we love being here. We came from California. We escaped from California, as we say it. And we hoped to stay in a small town. My husband's roots are deep in Tennessee. We love it here, and we hate to see the character of Gallatin changing. I've attended probably this is about my 6th meeting between the City Planning Commission and the City Council, and listened to many, many of the residents in the area speak to the fact that we would like our area to remain rural, to remain peaceful and quiet. Have an escape for people to come, go down Lock 4 without a whole lot of traffic to the park. Do the things that you do in a rural area, which this area has been, and which much of Gallatin was 27 years ago when we moved to the area. I ask for you to not annex this area, to follow the lead of the city, of the county planning commission or the county commission, whichever it was. I was not aware of their asking for a moratorium. I think that's a wonderful idea. You have so many things in the works. Our infrastructure in our own area, on Cherokee Road, Calgary Road, we don't have sewers. We'd love to have sewers, but we don't have sewers. But yet all these new areas, all the housing development down at the end of Block 4, they have them. Please consider the county commissioners who spoke to you on several occasions and said that the county commission does not have the funds that they need to support what you're asking for. I ask for a no vote on annexation. I ask particularly for the person who represents our area, who's heard so many of her constituents speak, to please vote no. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak under this public hearing? Okay, I see no one. I will declare public hearing on Resolution R2306-50 closed, and we will move on to public hearing on Resolution R2306-51.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, annexing a 235.509 plus or minus acre parcel located east of Lock 4 Road and north of Peach Valley Road into the City of Gallatin, authorizing the annexed property to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, assigning the annexed area to a council district, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And this is a public hearing.
Public hearing is now open. And you may come forward.
Thank you again, Mayor. I do apologize.
No, it's
I'm not
confusing.
fully familiar with the decorum.
It would
Again,
be difficult to be, so
Thank you.
I appreciate your understanding.
Thank
too.
you. Karen Bookout, 1006 Quailwood Cove. Mary just mentioned that a large percentage of this property that you're considering annexing is limestone. I was unaware of that. So I just wanted to address that. I mentioned earlier that the banks of the Old Hickory Lake have the federally protected Indiana and gray bat populations. About 2 years ago, I live in the area where the Tennessee Valley Authority proposed running power lines for the Facebook data center, or Meta data center. And we, myself and other neighbors, successfully convinced the Tennessee Valley Authority not to run them through our area, our neighborhood, because of the Indiana gray bat populations, the streamside salamander, among other things. Having to dynamite land to build homes will destroy Indiana and gray bat populations. They are federally protected. Take a moment and consider that, the damage that you will do. In addition, the wildlife, the fish, and the runoff, oh my God, the runoff from this proposed development into Old Hickory Lake will destroy wildlife, the marine life, like you've never seen. So please, consider the damage done, not only to the residents of Gallatin and Sumner County by your actions, by your runaway development ideas. Consider the damage you're doing to the ecosystem, please. Because the residents, some of us, well, I live in the county, so I haven't voted for you. The residents will vote you out. Some new residents will move in, and they'll vote somebody else in. But the marine life, the federally protected bats and plants will never return. Gallatin may grow, but it won't have an ecosystem to be proud of.
Thank you again for the opportunity. Todd Alexander, 217 Strange Circle, and thank you, Mayor, for your grace on the previous hearing. Subject matter. I want to speak about the annexation on Lock 4 and Peach Valley Road. 295 total acres in that project. The 235 annexation that is on your agenda, as well as the 60 acres, something close to it, I believe, that's already in the city limits. 876 total units placed on there with 133 acres of green space. Does it seem odd to anyone that 45% of this property is going to be green space? That's not due to the generosity of the developer, I'm sure. If they could put more houses on it, they could. This doesn't sound like a great building area, as Mary Janung said earlier. There's 133 acres that is unbuildable or not suitable to build or not cost efficient to build. And so the plan, and I've talked with the city planner, and we just kind of agree to disagree that I understand you can include all of the green space in your how many units per acre, but when I see this as proposed as 3 units per acre, and you discount all that space around that is unbuildable, the creeks and the rocks and what have you, what's going to be crammed in the middle of that is 876 units on 162 acres, which is 5.4 units per acre. That's a lot. That is some high density in me. It's going to look and feel like that. The traffic it's going to create, I've spoke here many times. Other residents have already beat that horse to death. I'm not going to do it again other than to say it's not getting any better. I work on Lock 4 and have to get out of there. It is incredibly longer and longer to pull out safely. And of course, there are those that don't pull out safely. There at the back exit of Panera Bread, and there's a number of wrecks. I'd love to get the data of how many wrecks are right there in that curve on Lock 4. It is bad. The citizens and the neighbors of this project, for the most part, have filled this chamber opposing this annexation. I just want to encourage you, please listen to them and vote no. Thank you.
If you're wishing to speak under the public hearing, I would encourage you to come on forward so that we're not waiting between speakers.
Hello, council. I was not intending to speak tonight, but I would be a little bit remiss if I didn't after hearing all of these comments by the people here. I've been told throughout my life that the only thing constant in life is change.
Could you give us your name and address,
James
please?
Purrier, 1490 Cherokee Road. I've been told that the only thing in life that's constant is change, and I have no illusions that by the time I'm 50, this area will be developed. I fully intend and understand why it would and probably should be. The one thing I can't foresee is the rapid growth and development of this land without the proper infrastructure. So I would just ask you, I'll keep this short, I would ask you that as we look at this and future plans, we design with intent and we really take our time for this so that my generation and future generations will have this land still be usable and actually appreciable. So thank you.
Good evening, Michelle Juvance again, and I'm bringing this sign again because if I wanted to live in Nashville, I would have moved to Nashville. And I think that Gallatin is special, and it's just, things are changing too much, too fast. So I'm just going to continue with the specific reasons that I had written down to ask you not to annex, because right now I think that it's too much. The city can't take on more obligations right now, and it's your responsibility to take care of the people who live here, but it's not your responsibility to annex a piece of land that has no one living on it to provide services for someone or people who might potentially in the future live on it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was the schools. In the last 10 years, the Sumner County taxes have increased 34% to pay for a new school complex and a new courthouse. The growth in the cities is already causing taxes to go up. This annexation location is zoned for Gallatin High School, which is already full at 98.6% classroom capacity and 139.8% core capacity. So where are the kids going to go to school? And the county just raised our taxes to build a new school complex, and we don't want them to raise our taxes again to pay for another new school. The city of Gallatin does not have its own school district, and so it does not provide school services, but regardless, the city should take that into account. The next point I had was that Lock 4 Road was deemed inadequate in 2007, and this hasn't changed. This road will be the main entrance to a proposed subdivision of almost 900 more homes. The road is inadequate because of the width and the lack of shoulders and sidewalks. And this road will not become adequate with certain upgrades to intersections to the north as proposed by the developer. This road is inadequate in and of itself, and unless the road itself is made adequate, this annexation and development will add risk and safety to existing residents. The extension of Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard may never be completed. We don't know if it ever will be. There was much discussion about that at the Planning Commission meetings. Much discussion. The developer's argument that they have built interior collection for traffic makes no sense. This argument proclaims that the residents of the subdivision will drive around inside the subdivision and never leave it, when in fact they will all leave by way of Lock 4 Road and Peach Valley Road. Eminent domain to widen Lock 4 Road will not work, as homes along the lake side are too close to the road and front yards are not big enough to add another lane. And could you imagine my friend Mary Jinung would literally open her front door onto the road? That would be ridiculous. This proposed annexation is land that doesn't have anyone living in it, so there's no necessary reason for the city to annex the land in order to provide services to anyone. Mayor Brown's reasoning for annexing this, because if we don't annex this now, we'll never have the chance again, is not only false, it is not a good reason to annex. It is not prudent to take on an action to accept more obligations when the city is already struggling to absorb what is already inside the city limits. And that is a quote from Mayor Brown at a city council meeting from April 20th of 2021, when she voted no as the tiebreaker on the Bledsoe Springs annexation. Notably, this annexation came back in 2021. Sorry, that was from a 2020 when she voted no, and it came back in 2021 after the election, and the city council voted to approve the annexation. I think that.
Thank you, your time's up.
All right.
My name is Linda Marandino. I live at 1092 Lock 4 Road. I can attest to some of the past speakers, what they said. I live right down the road from Mary Jeanon, and as our last speaker just said, Lock 4 Road, it's a free-for-all. It's dangerous, it's narrow, and I ask any of you to come down the road sometime, sit on my front lawn, back a little ways so you don't get hit, and watch what goes on. We've all lost multiple mailboxes. I'm not opposed to neighbors. I like my neighbors. I like Mary. We have a great time. They're good neighbors. They're kind. I just don't want 5,000 more of them right across from me. It scares me. I think it will turn into condos, which will become Airbnbs, which will become people who are not vested in our community. And now my car out front that's not in the garage, is it safe? Do I have to put up cameras everywhere to make sure that people aren't going to break into my house? There's just so many people coming in a small area. It's not someone with an acre of land buying a big house and they're going to stay there. It's apartments. And that's what it's getting to be down the road by Audaddy's. They're not all condos or townhouses that are worth quite a bit of money, that everybody's moving there and they're gonna put a lawn and they're putting bushes. It's a transient community, and that's what we fear. And I'm afraid, I'm terrified, because I can, call Mary, I can say to somebody, hey, can I come over and borrow something? Yeah, go in the shed, it's not locked. Well, now do I have to lock my shed? Do I have to chain everything up? Because everything's gonna be very visible. This happened to friends of mine in Foxland Harbor, or Foxland neighborhood, when all those condos went up across the street. All of a sudden, there were people walking around their neighborhood that they had never seen before, and cars started getting broken into. And that's what we fear. I don't need it to be a completely small community, but it doesn't need to blow up so quickly. It's nice to know who's living next to you and who's living across the street from you. So I encourage you to vote no to this annexation, because the high density just isn't going to work. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak this evening under public hearing on resolution R2306-51? I see no one. I'll declare the public hearing closed. We'll move on now to second reading on ordinance 02304-28, and Councilman Fan, you're introducing that.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, adopting Plan Gallatin, purposeful and planned growth, the City of Gallatin Comprehensive Plan, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date, Comp-2023-0011, and I so move.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Fan, second by Councilwoman George. Opening the floor for any discussion. Ms.
Mayor,
Love.
I'd like to suggest by moving that we defer this again, because at the last time this was brought up, neither Eileen or myself was here, and I believe Sean made the motion to defer it because he wanted, obviously y'all wanted all of the council to be here. So since he's not here, I think we should give him the same courtesy.
I second.
Motion to defer, second by Councilman Hayes. Any discussion on the deferral? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion unanimously deferred to, I'm sorry, I should have asked, to the next council meeting. Okay.
And hopefully everyone will be there.
I may not be, but we'll find out. Okay, moving down to item number 6, which is second reading on ordinance 02306-38. Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance establishing water and sewage system development charges and amending Gallatin Municipal Code, Chapter 17, to reflect the new charges. I so move.
By
Second.
Councilman Carter, second by Vice Mayor Love. All right, any discussion on this? Mr. Chance.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to reiterate what I said last time. I'm all for raising the fees so we actually balance the budget, but I think we should go directly to the top tier and not go on free times over several period of years. So I will be voting yes, because there's no point of making a motion. You're gonna not second it. So, but I think we should, again, if development want to come in our city and do business, they should pay for it. We should not have to subsidize a piece of it for several years.
Anyone else with any comments? This is second reading on ordinance 02306-38. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. I'm sorry, I thought you said you would not be voting for it, and so I was waiting to see.
No, I said I'm gonna vote yes because
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so it, second reading passes unanimously, 6-0, sorry.
must be my southern accent.
Item number 7 is first reading on ordinance 02305-35. Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, approving the amended preliminary master development plan for McCain Station self-storage on 11.41 plus or minus acre portion of a parcel located north of Highway 386 and east of Big Station Camp Boulevard, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and provided for an effective date. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fan, second by Councilman Hayes. Is there any discussion on this?
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to vote no. I think project is a good-looking project, but I think the hotel, we got told the hotel is moving on the other side, so we don't know what kind of business we lost on the other side, but I would rather see a business who actually bring jobs to the city on that spot, and that's what was planned initially. So I think we need jobs more than storage, even if it's a good-looking project. But again,
First reading on ordinance 02305-35. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no.
no.
By my count, that passes 5-1. Item number 8 is first reading on ordinance 02307-40. Councilman Fennell is not here this evening. Councilman Pham, would you take this, please?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating funds in the amount of $375,856 for purchase or replacement of tasers and accessories, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Fan, second by Vice Mayor Love. Any discussion on this? I appreciate the support of this. I mean, I think we all supported it in the budget, but then we've had to kind of regroup and figure out how to fund it. So glad we're getting it done. So thank you all. So this is first reading on ordinance 02307-40. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. It does pass 6-0. Item number 9 is first reading on ordinance 02307-41. Councilman Hayes.
Yeah, this is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, approving a preliminary master development plan for 7 Brew Coffee on a 1.89 acre lot located east of Nashville Pike and north of Blue Jay Way, authorizing a revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilman Fan. Any discussion?
Thank you, Mayor. I like my coffee. I like coffee. That's a good-looking place, but I still have the same concern that Councilman Fennell has about that being a flood zone. So I'm still torn on that one, so I will be abstaining.
This is first reading on ordinance 02307-41. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. So that would be 5 with 1 abstention. Item number 10 is first reading on ordinance 02307-42. Councilman Javons.
Thank you, Mayor. It's first reading ordinance number 02307-42, an ordinance awarding bid and authorizing funds in a total amount of $2.5 million from natural gas reserves for 2023 annual gas line construction. So move.
Motion by Councilman Javons. Second by Councilman Carter. Any discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 02307-42. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Does pass unanimously. Item 11 is resolution R2306-48. Vice Mayor Love. Oh, did I skip one? No.
Oh, no, I was asking Susan if I could do these together, and she said no. So number 11 is a resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, readopting and reconfirming a plan of services for the annexation of a 5.18 plus or minus acre parcel located north of Hartsville Pike and east of Airport Road, and providing for an effective date. I so move.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilwoman George. Any discussion? You all remember why we're doing all this, Mr. Javons?
Thank you, Mayor. I went back reading the plan of service and talking about fire that maybe needed a new station up there with the continued growth, and still we're behind on basic services. So I'm not going to vote yes on that.
Okay, this is Resolution R2306-48. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Passes 5-1. Item number 12 is Resolution R2306-49. Vice Mayor Love again.
Thank you. This is a resolution of the City of Gallatin readopting and reconfirming the annexation of a 5.18 plus or minus acre parcel located north of Hartsville Pike and east of Airport Road into the City of Gallatin, authorizing the annexed property to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, authorizing assignment of annexed area to a council district, repealing conflicting ordinances, and providing for severability, providing for an effective date. I believe this is mostly just a wording issue, but I so move.
What it was before. Motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilwoman George. Again, opening the floor for discussion. Anyone? Okay, this is Resolution R2306-49. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Passes 5-1. Item number 13 is Resolution R2306-55. Vice Mayor Love.
Thank you. This is a resolution of support and authorizing the Gallatin Public Utilities to apply for a collaborative ARPA grant for regional water system improvements. I so move.
And I second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Love, second by Councilwoman George. They're like getting noisy over here, gentlemen. But, this is a motion and a second, so it opens for discussion. Any comments or question on this?
Yeah, please. Mayor, as I seen you last night at the county meeting, who lasted forever, and this item was unfortunately the last one, almost the last one of the night, so that there were plenty of discussion, and I invite you all guys to go and watch the meeting, because there were plenty of good comments, there were less good, there was plenty of things, but I got the resolution there, and so my question here that I would like to know, maybe GPU can answer. I would like to know if we approve and get that grant and build that line, how long that would take us to build that line? A ballpark.
Mr. Kellogg, if you're comfortable coming to the podium and addressing what kind of timeframe you're thinking that we're looking to for a completion of project. It's a big project.
It's a big project, but the grant has a deadline in it, 2026, I believe. So
Until we get the grant.
if you get the grant,
Yeah.
you have to have the funding expended by 2026, December 31st.
Have to
of
finish it within
2026.
the 2.5 years, essentially. Thank you.
They put the stipulation in there, how long you had to expend the funds.
Thank you.
9 years, okay?
Else? Great effort, and I know that Portland and Westmoreland and CSB are very appreciative of the City of Gallatin's willingness to work on this. And we're very fortunate, and certainly my compliments to Mr. Gregory before Mr. Kellogg and Mr. Kellogg now, because without their forward thinking, their wise investment, their proper planning, and strong management of our system with lots of innovative improvements that they've made to the system along the way, we wouldn't be in a position to be able to do this. And so I'm so grateful to them and to that whole department and to our city. So anyway, thank you all. This is a resolution R2306-55. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Does pass unanimously. Item number 14 is Resolution R2306-57. Councilwoman George.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution awarding health, vision, and dental insurance contract for the city of Gallatin.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman George, second
I
by,
made a motion. I didn't move.
oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Would you like to?
Yes, I would like to
All right,
make a
excellent.
motion.
Okay, motion by Councilwoman George, second by
Thank you.
Councilman Chuvats. Delighted, I said last week that this was the highlight of the meeting of the week, of the day, certainly. Great renewal on this, and I'm appreciative of the people that worked with us on this, and certainly with our HR department, Courtney Russell, so Michael and Kelly, where I've seen you wandering about. So, hey, there you are. I appreciate y'all's work on this, because I think the first numbers were not as favorable, and you worked to get us more favorable numbers, and I'm very pleased, especially when you compare it to our trending over the last many years. So that's very great. That's great news. So, any questions about it, you guys?
No, thank you.
Okay, this is Resolution R2306-57. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. And item 15 is Resolution R2307-58. Councilman Carter.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with Verizon for its Connect Reveal for Government program to provide GPS vehicle location and tracking asset management and integrated video. Not so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Carter, second by Vice Mayor Love, by Councilwoman George. Okay. So we have a motion and a second, opening the floor for discussion, but I do want to say that because of some information that I got by an interested party, a resident of our city, has some connections with some different fleet management solutions, that J.R. Smith and I are currently going through these. So even though you are authorizing the signature of this contract, we could come back next week and say this is a better option. And I just want you to know that and make sure you're okay with that. I don't know, I mean, what I have looked at so far, it involves us buying equipment and having to maintain the equipment and replace equipment. And so that would be a negative compared to what we're paying for this monthly service fee. But we're obviously trying to get the best price to do the best we can with our tax dollars for the people who pay them, right? So is everyone, I mean, do you all understand? I mean, I'm not going to sign this until we can be pretty comfortable. Okay, thank you all. Anyone else have any comments on that? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. We never got told I don't think we can talk about the exact cost because you say maybe we're going to put on vehicle.
The exact what, I'm sorry?
Cost.
Cost.
Yearly cost of the program. But do we have a ballpark idea of how much it's going to cost?
They were in there, or I had the numbers last week that, that gave you, if we did, our full fleets, what the cost would be. But we want to leave it to the department heads to make some determinations as to what, like we said, with old vehicles, it doesn't make sense to putting GPS tracking software on them because they're not going, they're not running about all the time every day. And so we want to leave some room for decision-making, but I think that maximum cost number, Ms. Nichols, I don't know if you happen to remember that number. I don't have it with me. I'm thinking it was 7,000, but yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's,
So sorry. I'll be happy to send it out to you all tomorrow.
oh, I appreciate that.
And if there is issue, I won't sign it until next week's meeting at the very earliest, if that would make you more comfortable. So, anyone? All right, this is Resolution R2307-58. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes unanimously. All right, this concludes the regular agenda. It moves us now to other business, so I would ask if any member of this body does have other business at this time to discuss.
No, I do. Thank you, Mayor. Let's go back to impact fees. I did continue my homework, and I kind of agree with you. I don't want to spend taxpayer money on a study if we send it to legislature and that get turned down. So I think I found a way to send it to legislature without costing us any money. I know we had a couple of exchanges with legal this week, and she told me she think that got turned down twice at that session, but what the risk? If that doesn't cost us any money, what is the risk? If we want to, I see Councilman George Fest back there, but I know, the biggest lobbyist in the hill is the Realtor Association, who pushing hard against it, but so I've...
Sorry, my name was mentioned, but I don't know what you said.
I don't either. I didn't understand what you.
I said that the biggest lobbyist against impact fees on the hill at the state is the Realtor Association. So...
I still didn't understand.
The Realtor Association is the biggest lobby against impact fees.
Thank you, Susan.
No, stop,
We-
stop.
We talk a lot, so she got used to me. Actually draft a piece of paper I sent to Susan for review, and I would appreciate if we can put that on the next agenda to look at it and see if we can do something with it. Again, that's going to be a request to change the charter. We did that this year, so I don't see where there's an issue. There is no cost. I think if we have the opportunity to get some money in the bank, we should. And, I talked to several cities around. They're all happy with what they're doing, and they're all happy with the number they get in the bank. So the last one I talked to was Murfreesboro, and when I asked him why they did it, he said everybody is doing it around, so why not us? And we're not talking about, a giant amount of money. I think Murfreesboro is really out of that word, but that's their problem. But again, if we, like I say, William Slater say he will carry the bill for us if we send it to him. So let's do something about it. Let's send it to him.
I would submit, in spite of what some really nasty people have said about why I keep saying this, I know, it's getting a bit tedious, but, I think I mentioned we had our TASER meetings. I think the last legislation for new impact fees was approved in 2003. I think it was turned down 3 or 4 instances in the last 2 years. And so I think, and it's this body's will, I don't get a vote, you know this. I think the better path would be, and I've had this discussion to some degree with TML, the legislation allows general law cities to have impact fees. The counties are asking through the amendment of the County Powers Act for the counties to have impact fees. It seems to me that the ask should be that cities who are not general law cities have the authority, because at that point, we would be the only ones left out. So I feel, my point is that I think it's a bigger conversation, and I think they're going to continue down the trajectory that they are regardless. I mean, they were clear with the County Powers Act, this last legislation. They were clear with a couple of independent, or not independent, but some individual entities. I mean, it's this body's bill. That's all I'm going to say about it. So.
But again, what is the risk if we don't have a cost? The cost is going to be to put a resolution on a piece of paper, vote on it, and send it to the hill. There is no cost involved.
I mean,
so if they pass it, great. If they refuse it, we'll find another way.
I think we have a long, strong history of really good relationships with our legislators. And I know that they, will carry things that they know aren't going to get passed, but they don't really like that on their track record. I don't know. I shouldn't speak for them. I take that back. I'm not sure how they feel about it. But me, and I think a lot of this body has really been thoughtful in what we ask for them to carry for us as we go forward, i.e., the tax stuff that we asked for last year that was so important to us. And so, I don't,
It's like you said, when was the last time that one was approved?
it was either '03 or '06. I
Okay.
didn't bring that up with
When
me.
did you get on here?
On Tasser?
No, when did you become mayor? What year?
Oh, in 2015, so we've been talking about it ever.
Because it's not the first time we've talked about that.
And I've
I
had, you know,
understand It's not the
and
first
in
time
years,
we've even tried to bring it up or anything like that.
and in years past, at least one of our elected officials, for whom I have great respect, said, yeah, I mean, they're not gonna pass it. When I was trying to learn about it and explore it and all that kind of thing. And it may change. I mean, it may, if this body decides to do it, they may say, oh, heck yeah, let them do it. But
But look at the
I'm
long
not
run
feeling that.
repercussions. I mean, look at it. I mean, it's, we're talking about the impact on the consumer is tremendous
Well,
because they're not going to just tax one area and then it's not going to come down to someone else.
Well, the study that came out of Tasser, and for those of you who don't know, that's the Tennessee Advisory Committee on Intergovernmental Relations. It's related to the County Powers Act, but what they're looking at is the impact of affordability of impact fees.
Yes.
And so they're actually doing a study about that. I did an interview with them last week to give them, it really wasn't my perspective. It was just all the different aspects that I think are affecting affordability. Supply and demand being one.
Right.
And so they will ultimately come back with a study to share that information. So that's kind of where we are.
$700, even if the developer had the $700, I'm looking at Portland, that's $700 on single-family residences. What the cost of $700 monthly on a 30 years mortgage?
Are you asking me this?
Yeah,
You're talking about $700. That doesn't mean that that's the number.
I'm talking about, I'm using Portland numbers, who kind of what we are.
Portland?
Yeah, Portland, Tennessee numbers. Their impact fee is around
Right.
$700.
They don't relate to Gallatin?
Let's not have any back and forth debate on this, y'all. I mean, I think a lot of times, and again, I'm just guessing because I just really have not gone down this. You may have a different perspective. But I think some of the fear associated with impact fees is ultimately the affordability piece. Because in
Right.
some communities, impact fees are, they start out at $700 and they're $1,000, then they're $3,000, then they're $7,000, then they're $10,000, and then they're $12,000. And at that point, you're really kind of crossing that line where first-time home buyers can make it happen. So.
Right now,
I think maybe that's what that is.
No, I understand that, but again, it's our job to write it on a way where we can avoid that.
And
I think the Portland can be changed every 5 years, okay? Nothing stops us to put that if the state legislature said, go ahead, guys, we don't want to be involved with you. You send us something, we agree, boom, it's changed. It's our job to make sure that's not going to happen. Like I said, I don't want to see impact fees like Murfreesboro. We're not Murfreesboro. I'm looking at Portland and the study, and I read the study, and I sent you the study, so hopefully you read it. It's pretty reasonable. It's not, but again, it's at the end of the year, it's a lot of money. We're not going to have to take somewhere else. We can invest on that case, on our first responder, police, fire.
Yeah, and it has to stay within a development, so there are
It can't be
parameters
used
on
for
how you can
anything
do it.
else but that development.
But I am not disagreeing. What I'm saying is that the state of Tennessee, in all the years I've been engaged, including way before I was mayor, has been about getting away from taxes. And so when that appetite changed for taxes and they started doing away with the hall tax and they started reducing other licenses and taxes, this was a big thing to them, that they were not going to allow impact fees because they viewed it as a tax. And I think a lot of people believe that that's why so many people are moving here. And often,
And real estate has slowed down dramatically because of interest rates. Okay, a $500,000 home is $1,000 more per month because of the interest rate.
But that, we have no control on that.
but anyway, the question was, you want it on the agenda, So, Mr. Juvance, I would ask you, do you want to make that a motion?
Yes, ma'am. I want to make a motion. I send, actually wrote the ordinance already, so I did all the work. You're probably going to tweak it. Yeah, I know, but you're probably going to tweak it because that's not my job. But so I would like to have the opportunity to present it at the next work session, and that give me a little more time to keep digging because I think we need it. And again, if there is no risk, why we don't do it? And
There's a big reason. It's
No,
not
that-
allowed.
that can be, again, it's not because it's in a charter. We go to legislature. They say, okay, Gallatin, we're good with what you send us. You can change your charter. And again, that still has to come back to the council to agree on what's going to be done with a 2/3 of the vote. I mean, even if the state legislature agree for us to change that piece on the charter, will give us the opportunity to do it if we desire so, if we have the need to do
I think you
so.
would have to articulate what the change is. I don't think you can just send it to them.
Yeah, we can, but again, it's not because it's going to be in the charter that we have to do it.
All right, he's got a motion.
motion.
I'll second the motion, put it on there, only if he'll talk to William Lambert and Johnny Garrett and see what they say.
He's
Okay?
spoken.
Actually, I spoke with both of them, and they will
Slater.
support with Slater, and I talked with
Senator
Johnny
Hale.
and with Johnny Garrett too, and
They said they would support
they
it.
will
No,
support.
no, they told me that, I mean, I've spoken to them too, and they said they would, or not all of them, but when I spoke
They're
to, said
supporting
they would
impact
carry it.
fees?
But
They will
They will-
support our charter change.
Oh. That they would carry, and I guess by that carrying it, they are showing support, but they also were like, but you know what's happened, yes, sir. You know. But- Okay, so we have a motion, and a second to put this on the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, Ms. Kittrell, please.
I have a question.
Huh?
Can I ask a question? Sure. You say you've talked to all these cities. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to the mayors
I talked to council, I talked to city manager, I talked to mayors.
in each of these cities?
Which cities?
I talked to Portland, I talked to Murfreesboro, I talked to,
And you all do understand the difference between the general law and the private act charter, and that's why they're allowed, but we are not.
I know that,
Now,
Mayor.
the county powers, I'm saying, because it is confusing for people that don't
Yeah,
understand.
it
I
is.
mean,
Just so that, do you understand that? We have a different type of charter. We have a private act charter, and other cities have general law charters, and so they are allowed in their charter to do that. The legislature has given them blanket approval to do that. We don't have that approval because it's not in our charter. We're a private act, which means we have to go to the legislature. They have to do a private act for us to amend our charter. So that's why we have to go to the legislature to get approval to amend our charter. And then after we do that, if they were to approve it, it would come back here. We would have to approve it, and then that's when we'd have to do a study to determine what the cost would be. You can't just set an amount.
Pick a
We would do
number.
some type of study to support whatever is determined to be the appropriate amount.
a motion, a second. Ms. Kittrell, would you call the roll for the vote, please?
Vice Mayor Love,
Just to discuss it, so yes.
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
Councilman Fan,
I've got a question before I vote. No,
We're voting.
he wants to, shouldn't we wait till he talks to these
He's already
people?
talked.
No, let's move forward with the voting.
I already
We've
talked
already
to
started
them.
voting.
Yes.
Councilwoman George,
No.
Councilman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Juvance.
Yes.
It passes.
Okay, we'll put on next week's agenda. Is there any other business this evening from anyone? Okay, let's move along to public recognition on non-agenda related items. I told you at the beginning of the meeting, there'd be a time at the end of the meeting, and this is it. So if you have an item that was not on the evening's agenda that you'd like to speak to, now would be your opportunity.
Mayor and council members, I'm Mike McClanahan, live at 961 Peninsula Drive. If you'll allow me, I'd like to read an email that I wrote this past Friday after receiving a memo from the engineering division about a survey that was sent out regarding traffic calming measures, specifically the speed bumps, the temporary speed bumps that were installed on Peninsula Drive a while back. According to that memo, the survey did not come back favorable, and therefore the plan is to remove those speed bumps. And according to the memo, there would be further study to see if there's other options to consider. So this is the email that I sent out, and I'll just read it to you briefly. Dear Mayor Brown, Councilman Juvance and Fennell, and Mr. Fielder and Mr. Hickson, my wife Jennifer Price McClanahan and I have lived at 961 Peninsula Drive for about 12 years. We know all of our neighbors, several houses down in all directions, and we all appreciate all of the work the city, and especially the engineering division, has put into finding a solution to the growing traffic issues in our neighborhood. However, the survey to determine the approval of permanent speed humps is somewhat skewed. For the most part, I can assure you that the residents on Belvedere do not see any traffic problems at all. Now, that's with the exception of the upper section of Belvedere, from Peninsula to Nashville Pike. That section does see the traffic problem significantly. The heavy traffic travels on Peninsula Drive, the most direct cut-through route. Please allow me to propose some potential solutions. Number one, to reduce the need or the desire to cut through when traffic backs up on Nashville Pike and the 109 bypass. The natural desire is to find a quicker route. Thus, I surmise that Peninsula Drive may be one of the most heavily used cut-throughs in the city, even though it is posted no through traffic and no trucks. And the solution, one solution would be to better synchronize the traffic lights on major thoroughfares. Number two, and this is the main point that I would like to focus on, is increase the penalty for speeding through residential areas. As you may have learned, the city of Clarksville recently passed an ordinance increasing the maximum fine for speeding in residential areas from $50 to $500 after the General Assembly provided cities with that ability. In fact, the governor signed Senate Bill 0505 on April 4th of this year, enacting that measure. I actually have a copy of the ordinance that was passed by the city of Clarksville, and I would be glad to provide that to the council if you would like to review it. Thirdly, develop a speed enforcement plan with Chief Bandy and the Gallatin Police Department. And we're not asking for an officer to be posted there every day, just some regular speed checks that will get the word out about how costly it is to speed through a neighborhood. And I got to thinking as I was listening to the previous discussion, maybe this is an impact fee, right? It would, I think, essentially send a message that if you're going to cut through a neighborhood, whether it's our neighborhood or any residential neighborhood in our city, it's dangerous. You know that. We've heard from our neighbors along Lock 4 Road how dangerous it is there. I would just invite you, any of you, to come walk with my wife and I as we try to walk our dogs along Peninsula Drive. We have to revert to walking on Harris Drive. Well, Harris Drive is becoming just as bad because now folks have discovered that they can cut through Harris and down Ramsey to hit Lot 4 and then get on Nichols Lane or whatever direction that they want to go. The speed limit in this neighborhood is posted 25. You can find people going 35, 40, 45 miles an hour running the stop signs, and really posing a huge threat to public safety. So what I'm requesting of you is to consider adopting a similar ordinance as the city of Clarksville, and increasing the maximum fine from $50 to $500. And I would just respectfully ask that that would be presented through whatever committee or whatever process that would involve.
Thank you very much. Is there any, we have to finish our public recognition, and then if we want to address anything, we may. Anyone else wish to speak under public recognition on non-agenda related items? Okay, seeing no one, I'll declare public recognition on non-agenda related items closed. And Mr. McClanahan, I'll let you say something too, but I want to say I so appreciated your email because it had suggestions for solutions in it. You know that we've tried a bunch of different solutions in Belvedere and Peninsula, but your email was lovely and gracious and kind and had solutions, but brought attention to the problem. And I'm sorry I haven't replied because I didn't want to just say, thank you for your email. I wanted to say thank you so much for doing these things, and here's where we are on your various asks. You also asked about sidewalks in the neighborhood, which for years engineering and I have batted about neighborhood sidewalk programs, whereby if the neighbors will agree to have sidewalks in their neighborhood, it certainly reduced the cost for the city of Gallatin to put them in. So that's something that I'd love to explore also. One of the things that we have done for years, obviously not to much success, is tried to work with the mapping companies that keep pushing people through neighborhoods based on the traffic that flows and trying to get that to happen a different way. I did not know that about, and I didn't catch that in your email, about the increase in fees. Ms. Kittrell, can you address that, or do you know about that, or was that Metro specific, or?
I'm not sure about that. The Tennessee Constitution has always had the fine
$50 limit.
$50.
Yeah. And it has been brought up a couple of times in the last couple of years, so I do hope that is the case. That would be good for the city of Gallatin and good for your neighborhood, I do think. I think you could even, I'm thinking out loud here and I always get myself in trouble, but I even see where you could see, you see those signs some places that say fines increased for residential speeding or something like that. The ITS is in progress. It is actually installed. Engineering is tweaking. It's going to be fully operational. When? Yeah, it will continue to be optimized versus tweaked, especially after school gets back in session. And I have noticed a difference. Now, I've noticed some things where it's really weird, but and then there's a second phase to that project that will happen as well. That's it for me. Mr. Javance.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike, I would like to apologize to you. I told you I would bring it up, and just keep my mind. I'm getting old, so I'm really sorry. But I'm like the mayor. I think you sent a great email with solution, and I don't know if I can do that yet, Mayor, because I read everything. I think the TCA law got changed, so that's probably something we can do. And I would like to make a motion to put it on the next work session for discussion. I don't know if I can do that
Actually,
now.
what I would like to do, certainly you can, but let's let Ms. Kittrell and Ms. High McCauley explore that, and if it does apply to our cities, then I think, look around this room, none of this body's going to fight that, right? It's been going on. How many years has it been $50?
Yeah, we'll research it. It's not something, I sat in on a legislative update, and that wasn't something that was covered, and I don't know if you've sat in or you've sat in on it.
I've not heard that it was done. I've heard it brought up several times, especially related to growth in the residential areas in the.
But I do know Clarksville's attorney, so I will gladly reach out to him and
we can find
speak
out
with him and see what they did, and we'll research it. If we do that, I don't know if it can come to city court. It may have to go to general sessions, but we will research all of that and figure that out.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I think we only need one more motion this evening. Motion to adjourn by Councilman Hayes, second by Vice Mayor Love. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Be safe going home. I don't know what the weather looks like for the rest of the evening, but hope you stay dry and stay safe. Have a good week.